This is a short video to demonstrate how I finish my plates. The three ways I finish my plates is either with Renaissance wax, with traditional varnish, shellac varnish, or I sometimes use a Liquitex. I'm going to run through all three of those, how I do it or why I do it more likely. So I'm going to come in a bit closer now so you can see more of the technique of what I actually do. As I mentioned, most of the time I use Renaissance wax. When I was training, I was always taught if the plate is dark, you use wax. If the plate is light, you use varnish. I've tended to use wax most of the time because I like the fact that it tends to keep the silver of the plate more. It doesn't tarnish it and make it go slightly sepia. So for instance, this plate here, of Caterina the other day, that is Renaissance wax. The same as this one here of Basia, that was the other week. The lighting's not great in here, but that is Renaissance waxed as well, as is this one here. That was Renaissance waxed. And I like the fact that I've been going about 7 years now doing these, and they've tended to stay absolutely fine. I've been doing lots of tests. This plate here has been varnished. And you can see it's got a very slightly sepia tone to it. It starts to nullify it a little bit. And I think this one here has been, let's have a look. I think this one here has been a Renaissance. No, it hasn't. It's been Liquitex. So the thing is, I'm going to demonstrate how I do. So I'm going to demonstrate how I do my Renaissance wax now. So the first thing I do is I always scan the plate before I wax or finish it or do anything else with it. The reason I do that is because if I'm going to scan the plate, I don't want anything to get in between the scanner and the image. Well, I want the silver to be sat there pristine. The next thing I do is I always write on the back the date and very often the lens that I've used as well, and certainly the name of the model. So this one here has been shot on the 9th of the 12th, and I'm going to wax it now. And the way I do it is I've got my Renaissance wax. I've got a piece of very soft cloth in there. I've been using this tub now for about 6 years, so you don't use a huge amount of it. I've got my cloth prepared, so I've got a very soft duster. I've got a very soft microfiber cloth here. What I'm going to do, my wax is kind of a bit warm. It's quite nice and warm in here. You don't want to do it when this is too cold. I'm going to go quite quickly over the plate, quite quick. I'm wax, wax, wax. I'm going to go circular motions, then I'm going to go up, sideways, so that the whole plate is coated. I'm going to leave that not long at all because I don't want tram lines to appear. So I'm going to take the first buff off of the plate, and then I'm going on to my soft one. And already I'm seeing this has got a lovely sheen to it. Just changing my glasses so I can see a bit better. Yeah, this has got a lovely sheen to it. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking across the plate. I'm looking for any little, what am I saying? Any little tram lines where I haven't polished it off quickly enough. And then what I do is I go, just a tiny bit of breath on it, just to polish it up one more time. And you can actually be quite rough with it, not rough, but you can be quite firm with these. So that is done beautifully. There you go, that's done. So that's had one coat of wax on it. But what I always do is a second coat of wax. So same again, circular motions right across the plate, up and down, straight off with the microfiber cloth. Give it 10 seconds, maybe max. Straight off because I don't want it drying and I don't want it drying in lines. And then the soft cloth straight away, across, 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 up and down, up and down, up and down. A little bit of breath, look across the plate, look for any little tram lines, any bits you've missed, and that is done. That plate is now waxed. And I found that my plates haven't changed at all in the last 6 years. Now, I know what everyone says, if you use varnish, it's archival, it'll be around for 150 years. Do you know what? Yes, it will, but these will be around for quite a long time, and I'm happy with that. You know what? I'm very happy with that, and I like the results it gives, and it keeps the silver of the plate. It keeps the silver as opposed to having a very slight patina to it that you get with varnish, which if you've got a very light plate, like this one is very light, that plate there is probably better to be varnished, to be honest. I will probably wax it, but I'm going to varnish it. I'm giving that to the model as well. Now, I do just the same if I'm doing ambrotypes as well. So here's a glass ambrotype. And I will wax that just the same as I waxed as my tintypes. Love that plate, actually. It's a really beautiful plate. But what I want to show you is what happens when you... So I varnish and wax within a week of taking the plates, sometimes within a day or two. This plate here, I'm going to show you now, was one of my favourite plates. That was a beautiful plate I took of my daughter. I left it in the studio probably for about 5 months before I waxed it. And the moment I waxed it, it basically destroyed it. It just destroyed it. It just went horrible. So, and I don't know why. So in other words, do your waxing, do your varnishing within a week or two of taking the plate. And I just want to show you this. This is just gorgeous. I mean, for me, ambrotypes are the way every time. I just adore ambrotypes, because the beauty of an ambrotype is I can put that in my De Vere enlarger and I can blow up and do silver prints from it. So that's what I would do with my Renaissance wax. Another thing, if I'm doing exhibition plates and they're 17 inches by 15 inches, I don't want to wax something like that. It's too big to wax. And I don't want to varnish it either, because I've had a few issues with varnish in the past. So what I have been using is this. It's called Liquitex. It's basically a high gloss varnish craft acrylic. And as you can see, it's liquid. I filter it, so I've got no bits of dust or bubbles in it. I pour it onto a plate. Whoops, I'm not going to do it now because this plate is already dead. But I would pour it into the middle of the plate, and I will go all around all four corners, all three corners rather, and out on the fourth. And when I go out, I go into a separate bottle as well, which then gets filtered back into this bottle. I then leave it always in the same direction. So it's running in that direction, it's running in that direction onto paper napkins. I then wick it, wick, get as much off as I can. All this time it's traveling in that direction. Wick, let it go in that direction. And then right at the end, I will turn it up and I will go back the other way so that it pulls into the center and I get a nice even Liquitex across. And at that point, I put it into my airing cupboard because it's nice and warm. And then I get a very high gloss finish to it. And I think this one has been Liquitexed. So it's got this very high gloss to it. I found that works particularly well. I was talking to Quinn Johnson about, I was doing some acrylic plates, and he suggested trying this technique once. And it's worked really well because I did some exhibition plates on, what were they? Well, they were on plastic, and I basically couldn't heat plastic up. And it was a time before I was waxing plates as well. And because I couldn't heat the plastic up because it would melt, I used this technique and it worked really, really well. I will do another video about varnishing plates. That's a matter of, I've got the hot plate technique rather than using open flames and everything else. But that's how I do my plates. There you go. That's how I finish my plates. It works really well for me. I've been doing it for years and years and years. And all the plates, 90% of the plates I've got on exhibition at the moment at Julie Margaret Cameron's house have actually been waxed. And it's my technique, it's what I do. Anyway, good luck with what you're doing. Ask questions, enjoy it. I just love the process. And for me, it's part of the process. You get to the end of the shoot, you get to end of everything, and then you get to wax it, and then it goes up on display over there on the wall. So anyway, enjoy what you're doing. And yeah, that's wet plate collodion. That's why we love it. So here we are. I thought I'd show you these a little bit closer up. So that's the one I've just Renaissance wax. The dust is there. It's just a bit of dust in the place. That's what the little specks are. They will come off with a blower. This was the one that I haven't done anything with yet. So that's just straight silver. You can still see the way the light catches the silver. There you go. Which is what I love about these things. I just love it when it does that. So this thing here, let's see if I can just give a polish to that. So yeah, so that's now ready. So the model's going to get that one. So that's ready for her to go. And just to show a couple of others. So these are a couple of others that were done recently. So that's Katerina. done with the Dalamea 3B. That one has been Renaissance waxed, and it's maintained all the detail and everything else. The challenge you sometimes get when you varnish a plate, you can have the best plate in the whole world and you can destroy it when you varnish it, unless you get your technique absolutely perfect. But this one here has been waxed as well, and it's kept everything. And I just love the fact it keeps all the silver of the plate. From my point of view, that's what I love about it. So here's one that I mentioned that I have Liquitex. I think that one was Liquitex. It's got a very high gloss on it. There you go. So that was Liquitex. It's got a slight patina to it. It's still pretty good. Excuse all the dust over it. My plates they're in the kitchen all the time and they've got dust and dirt all over them. And this is the one that I did, which was varnished. So it has got a patina to it, which is fine. I mean, I absolutely love that. I mean, there are some plates that I like the patina to be on. So, so yeah, and that's the one I did with Catarina a very long time. That's about 4 years ago now. So that's been varnished. And this one here has been waxed. There you go. So that's one that was waxed. And that was about 4 months ago. And for me, I mean, I will jump from one to the other. I would say 90% of my plates are waxed. And what I will say is that my large plates, so if I'm doing a big 17-inch by 12-inch plate, like I did for Julia Margaret Cameron exhibition, I will not use wax on that. Once I get to about 10 by 12, I will then use Liquitex, because I don't want to use varnish in case something happens to the plate, or I don't pour it properly, or I get something come up. And I know a lot of people just love doing their varnish. For me, Liquitex is so much safer, and I found some really good results with it. It's not for everyone, but I just want to show you all the techniques I use. So I would say 90% of my plates are with the Renaissance wax, and I would say, no, it's different. I would say 80% of my plates are with that. Probably 15% are Liquitex, and there are 5% and I'll go through moods when I'll do it as a varnish. But it's whatever makes the plate look the best. And you've just got to look at your plate. You've got to look at it and think, actually, I don't want that to get any darker, so I'm not going to wax it. I'm not going to varnish it. I'll wax it instead, because I want it to stay as it is. For instance, this plate here, I would not want that to get any darker. I want that to stay as it is. And I just find that it keeps the silver content better when I use the wax rather than when I varnish. And I found even with the Liquitex, you do get a little bit of darkening, but not a lot, certainly not as much as varnishing. Anyway, that's my technique. I hope it helps. And if you need any more help, just give me a shout.